Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what day it is. I am Tom from Rooster Labs Productions, and today I'm bringing you a quick guide on making a gaming computer. It can also be used for general usages. It's really good, and in this build we're going for the best bang for buck. So basically, as much performance as we can get as little cost. As for general usage, compared to the newer consoles like Xbox One and PS4, it's pretty much up there. At least levels the playing field will be equally or better in almost every game, if not all of them. So without further ado, I'm going to straight on to CPU, which is already on your screen as you can see. I'm going to talk about each bit as I go along. So this is AMD FX 6350. It's a 6-core CPU made by AMD. It's nearly got 4 GHz speed, which isn't massively important these days, but generally for AMD's ones, the higher the gigahertz, the speed, and the more cores, the better performance you're going to see. Typically, most games only use 4 cores, so if you've got a quad core, that's 4 GHz, and an 8 core, that's 4 GHz. Generally, in gaming, you're going to get roughly the same performance out of it. So having 6 cores, why I've gone with this one, is you're going to have 4 cores that's going to be using your main application, generally the game you're playing, whether it's Battlefield 4, From Depths, Minecraft, whatever you happen to be playing. It's probably only going to use 4 of these cores and leave 2 full cores for any background operations like your operating system, or you might be using TeamSpeak to talk with your friends, or anything else along those lines. Okay, so it's a fairly old one, but processor that is, but it's excellent for the cost. So next up, we're going to need a motherboard that our CPU is going to fit in. So I've gone with the Gigabyte GA78 LNT USB 3. It's an AM3 Plus socket board, which is important, so I know our CPU is going to fit inside this board. This board, if I get a little picture up, there you go. You can see here, these are the slots for the RAM, so I've got 4 slots and each one can hold 8 gigs. So you've got excellent expandability for up to 32 gigs of RAM. Chances are you are never going to need that much RAM unless you're going along more professional usages for a computer, like making videos, video editing, or perhaps game development or music, or something that's going to generally use more of the RAM. But from gaming, you're not going to really need more than 8 gigs, so you might need 1 or 2 slots at the most. Okay, this is our CPU socket. We're going to fit our CPU straight into there, and our expansion slots, and this is the only important one that we want to see, as this is our PCIe Express slot. Let's just close down the picture and have a little look at the main features. As you see, straight up from top to bottom, it's got quite a lot. It's got the ultra durable. Basically, that's just listed the next few things that's underneath it. It's got pretty good protection for if it gets too hot, if there's a power failure, electrical discharge like the electrostatic, and humidity. So if it gets a little bit wet, basically, it's got a capability on it to shut it down, so it can safely close your computer without damaging any of the components, which I feel is a really good feature to have on the motherboard. Also down here, if you follow my mouse, is here dual BIOS. What's so good about having dual BIOS is if there's, say, a power failure and your protection hasn't protected you enough, there's a possibility BIOS could be wiped out. Having a dual BIOS means you've got a second backup one. So say if a system crash, your boot screen, it won't turn on. Give it 5 minutes, turn it on again, it probably turn on. I've done this dozens of times myself, and it's loaded up into the second BIOS where everything is set to default. And then once you start the computer running as normal, it resets the original BIOS, so then it's basically your motherboard's going to last longer and survive more shit that's thrown at it, basically. But moving along from this, I just want to look at the specs, which if you want to read it, you can see what supports RAID 0, 1 and 10, which is nice features if you know what they are, which I'm not going to go into on this video. It's got outputs which we're not going to need to use, but in general it's decent. Like say if you didn't have a graphics card or a dedicated anything else for video, you can run it straight off your motherboard. Also handles some of the sound, that's going to be put through it. It's all handled on the motherboard to HD quality, and I found it to be very good. This was the first board actually using my first proper custom built computer I'd done about 4 years ago now, though I've moved on significantly from then. Anyway, moving on. RAM. Okay, we're going straight up, keep it basic, Patriot Signature 8 gigs of 1333 MHz DDR3 RAM. Okay, well, just quickly why it's important, 8 gigs, that's more than enough to run pretty much any game that's out there. Yeah, anything that comes to mind I could think of, 8 gig is more than enough to run it. The speed doesn't massively matter in gaming. Between this one and I think DDR3 might go up to 2400 MHz. Performance wise, it might be 1 or 2 frames. It's naffle. It's not worth the price difference, if you get me. So you might as well keep it nice and simple. Okay, we can see it's perfectly, like, it fits into our board. One, because it's a DDR3, it's standard size, which is the pins here, the layout. And this is, it's like data rate, it's what it fits into, sort of like its compatibility. PC3 10600, it's a standard, it's perfect for our board. 240 pin, you don't particularly need to know all of this. All you need to know is this is going to be compatible directly with our motherboard. So 8 GB of RAM, excellent. Just going to move straight on to the most important piece, well, I might say it's second, but between this and the CPU, the most important parts in building a computer, that's what's going to make your games run good. So we're going to use the MSI NVIDIA GeForce GTX 750 Ti. The important bits to notice on the graphics card is the GTX 750 Ti, which is the GPU or the chipset that's in it, and the 2 GB of VRAM that's in it. Okay, it's got plenty of features if you look down, like 3D vision surround, you're probably never going to use that. For me and my friends that use NVIDIA cards, it's pointless to have it. Okay, what is important now is it supports up to 4 displays. So using these ports, which is they're free off, you can use other splitters and software that I believe is included with this to run up to 4 displays on this one card, which is excellent. Though generally in gaming you probably won't want to use more than 2 of this card. But for your typical gamer who's only going to use 1, this card, bang for buck, is excellent. Okay, we're going to have a quick look at the specs. You can see the base chip boost, basically the maximum speed it's going to go to. Number of cores, calling technique, and all the other ones. So form factor is one to look at when you're looking at graphics cards. Just about all graphics cards out there, definitely any modern one, is going to fit into a PCI slot. It's actually a PCIe slot it fits into. It's not quite written properly here. It should say PCIe X2 slot, which is the slot on the motherboard which I mentioned earlier. Okay, it's got all the dimensions here. If you're looking at other graphics cards, you want to look at the length and basically whatnot in this. So you can see the depth, height. The depth is actually its length, how long it's going to fit inside your case. So if you've got a case that's smaller than 21 centimeters, which I don't think it exists, it's not going to fit. But as I just said, just about, well, yeah, literally every single case out there, you're going to fit this inside it. It's fast, it's powerful, it's very good for any HD gaming. So any modern game out there, this card will do it at least 30 FPS. This includes Battlefield 4, Witcher 3, even GTA on decent settings. You'll be able to play it flawlessly on your computer. It's excellent. So next up, what we're going to need is storage to store all of our games and operating system onto. To keep this cheap and simple, I've simply put in a Toshiba 1TB SATA-free drive. So it's fast enough for a mechanical drive, and how to store off your games and load them up onto this. I've not put an SSD into this build because we're keeping it as cheap as possible, but if I was, I'd probably go for a 120 gig or maybe 240 as they're cheap for the amount of storage you get into, and they're excellent for what they are. But as I've said, we're not putting one to this build to keep it as cheap as possible. Okay, 1 terabyte is more than enough data for just about any user. The more games you get, obviously you might need more storage in the future. So moving straight on, as bland as that was. DVD, this is just the cheapest one that's here, that's branded. This is a Samsung DVD writer, whatever it says there, it's negligible. As a rule, DVD players are slow compared to any other data transfer technologies that exist at the moment. The only reason I've included this into the build is because to install Windows onto, which by the way I haven't included into the cost of this, as most people already own it, or if you buy Windows you're going to buy it one time and you're not going to buy it again. You can build a whole new computer and just put Windows on it, so it's pointless including cost in every single build guide anyone makes. So yeah, DVD, plays your DVDs, you can install Windows. Next up, the case. AVP generally make pretty sturdy and excellent bang for buck cases. This case is good size, you can see the dimensions down here, it's 435mm, it's less than half a metre off the ground. It's not overly tall, it's pretty compact, but be a decent size for all of our parts and excellent airflow. Plenty deep enough to hold all of our parts, it's 42cm, so you could put, I believe a Titan will probably fit into this case with room to spare. Unfortunately it's only just one picture and I was too lazy to find other pictures for you, because that's the way I roll. Keep going out of camera shot there, anyway, it's plenty of space in here. If we scroll down we can see how much the space there is. We've got one exposed 3.5 inch quarter bay. I don't know why I said quarter, 3.5 inch bay. Don't know why it says exposed. Now without bouncing inside of it, it's pointless me going into this. Then we've got 2 exposed, that's these 2 slots you get here. They're 5.25 inch bays. That's where DVDs are going to slot into, 2 screws hold them into place. Job done. Okay, all the other bays will be roughly around here inside your computer. The 3.25 inch bays, some of them can be converted into 2.5 inch. In this build, you would only use one of the 3.5 inch bays for your hard drive to go into. That's pretty much all you need to know. It's an excellent case. Inside this, it's on the specs. No, it's not. There is a fan included. I may be being blind while I'm looking at this. But there you go, fan base. There's a front and a rear. There's a rear one already included. That's going to be ample for this build, and there's an option to put a 120mm fan in. As a rule, it only costs about £10 max for a really good fan to lob into your computer for 120mm. You could go to higher end fans, but it's absolutely pointless to be honest, to keep your computer cool. This one fan will be more than enough to keep everything nice and cool and low temperature inside there. So it's good to move straight on to the last piece, which is of course going to be the power supply, which I've stupidly not got up. Basically I've just searched and we're looking for an 80+ rated power supply. So we're going to go straight up with the cheapest, because after all it's a budget build. Okay, the main things you want to look for, if you're going to look for any other one other than what I've recommended here, is that it's got a good make, that are reputable, the manufacturer, CITR. The wattage, make sure you've got enough power to handle what you're going to throw at it, which is more than enough. With our graphics card and CPU, we're never going to use more than 500 watts. And being 80+ bronze basically means that it's rated at roughly 85% power efficiency. So for each wattage that goes in, at least 80% is going to be used outright for what you want it to be used on. So your power bill will be less. And also the rating gives it, well, sort of like a warranty if you like. You know that this power supply it's not just going to fail and conk out on you, and if it does, you've got a reputable manufacturer. You can ring them up or send it back, or take it back to whoever you ordered from. In this case I've just used CCL Online, and go, look, my power supply's broken, and I'll just replace it. Excellent, because you know they're retrievable. Don't need to go into the different connectors down here. What we'll say is on top of here, what we're looking at is one PCIe Express connector 6-pin. We're going to use that for our graphics card. We only need one because we've got one graphics card. Probably never going to use more. CPU 4x4, we'll use both of those. It'd be all in one slot put together. It's a small little, you can't miss it, to go into the motherboard to power supply. The only other one we'll use, or ones we'll use, is two of these SATA connectors for the DVD player and your hard drive, and one Molex for the fan. That's it. If you want an actual guide to show you how to do this, unfortunately my recording equipment isn't great. It's not brilliant for me to take apart a computer or buy the parts and show you how to physically put one together. But maybe in the future I will do one if I have time and feel like doing it. Anyways, a quick recap. We have a 6-core CPU, more than enough for any game we throw at it. We have an excellent motherboard, packed with features, which I forgot to mention. USB 3.0, it's excellent, it's a-okay. It's a marvellous motherboard for the price on it. Now we can get up to 32 gigs of RAM on this thing if you want to. Also, with the slot and upgradability, you can upgrade your CPU on this thing, no problem, up to the pretty much highest end that AMD make. Okay, 8 gigs of RAM. That's all that needs to be said about this. More than enough for what we need to use it for. A graphics card, excellent for any HD games, gaming on any game that's out there. 1 TB of a mechanical drive, more than enough storage. A DVD player, just for installing Windows, so if you fancy throwing a DVD at it, which is highly unlikely, but you can if you wanted to. One excellent case that looks pretty good if you ask me, for only 15 quid. With plenty of room inside for any expansions you may want to do in the future, including more hard drives, better graphics card, anything you want to throw at. Including on the front, if you look here, you have three USB 3.0 port and 2 other USB ports, as well as your ports for audio, so you can plug in your headset to the front if you wish. And of course, one 80 plus bronze rated 500 watt power supply. So if I just bring this up, my prepared little Word document, I've listed all of the costs here, and as you can see it goes to £375.52p, which if you think about it, a new console, Xbox One and PS4 at this time retail both at roughly £300. So for a typical user nowadays, you're going to have a laptop or possibly a desktop already. They're using for general browsing, for your emails, maybe some web games, a little live usage, but you may also want to game on it. Most laptops for this price are absolutely rubbish for gaming, especially compared to a build like this. Anyway, say you're looking at the new consoles, or you're probably looking at this guide to look for a budget computer. A typical laptop might cost you £300 brand new, and if you go for console, £300 also brand new. That's £600 before you got any games. And as far as I'm aware, there's very few, if none, free games to actually play on the consoles. So why not combine the two? £375. You've got an excellent gaming machine that you can also use for multitasking as well, to do all of your checking up emails, talking to your friends, YouTube, anything else that you want out there. One extra thing I may add into this little build, if you want to bump it up to the £400 mark, which is roughly, I think, average most people seem to do nowadays, is basically a heatsink, a cooler for the CPU. The best one out there, as far as I'm aware, and one of the most commonly used, is the CoreMaster Hyper 212, which I have to say is an excellent cooler for its cost. At only £27 and 28p, it bumps you up to just above £400. However, it's excellent. Like, you put it in, your CPU left at stock clocks will last longer because it gets cooler. You've got excellent, or better, made circulation, airflow in your case because of the extra fan. Also being directly on the CPU is going to, the heatsink for it's going to keep your CPU cooler. and you put this bad boy on it. The temps from a stock cooler, I believe, run around 60, close to 70 degrees. If you put this on it, it'll be about 50, which gives us plenty of room for overclocking. So you can get, if I just bring it up once again, your AMD 6350, which is rated at 3.9. You could easily bump that up to 4.5 gigahertz, which I run my 8-core version of this same chip essentially at. Mine runs at 4.7 actually, which in gaming terms is roughly an extra 10% bump. Basically free performance boost. Pretty much all I have to say about this build. As I say, it's only a quick video I was intending to make for a budget build computer. Anyway, this brings it to a close. If there's anything you might want me to include to future videos that I may or may not make in the future, just comment below. If you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, don't say anything, but dislike it if you really have to. Anything extra, say in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything you want to do. And the main reason, as I think I've said before, of making this video is to make a budget computer in Great British pounds, because I rarely see anything out there, especially on YouTube, that's in pounds. Everything else seems to be in dollars. If you don't want to see things in just pounds, it's really easy to convert the cost over. It's roughly the same cost. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this most informative video. Good day to you, or good night. Goodbye.